Hello, one and all. Welcome back to another edition of the Average Guy's Guide to Life podcast. You know who I am. You know what this is. Then again, you might not know who I am, and you might not have any idea what this is. I've been gone for a while. And if you're new, welcome. My name is Era the Difference. That's what you will know me as. Few will be privileged to my real name, even though it isn't hard to find out what that is either. And this is the Average Guy's Guide to Life podcast. And it is exactly what the title says. It's the average guy, me, and my guide to life. I mean, technically, I'm not giving guidance for anything. I have a couple of disclaimers. First disclaimer here, right now, is that I don't know shit. I don't know a goddamn thing. I am not a professional at giving advice or guidance, although I have been told on occasion that I do give good advice and good guidance, but take that with a grain of salt. The primary objective of this podcast is to make you laugh, maybe make you smile, forget about your problems. That's the primary objective, and that is the first disclaimer. The second disclaimer I'm going to give is of a more serious variety because of today's topic. I am going to be discussing depression, and that has to do with the reason I haven't been uploading videos and podcasts as frequently as I once was. Once was, whatever the fuck. I haven't been uploading frequently. And I originally thought it was because I had a lack of inspiration. Things weren't happening in the world. And we all know that's not the fucking case. We are in prep for the apocalypse as we speak. So there's plenty of things to talk about in the world that we live in, all the chaos that's going on, the coronavirus still running rampant, in sports as well. You know, I love mixed martial arts. I love UFC. There's been a lot of things happening there. You know that I am a Patriots fan, and there's been things happening there. I'm a Tom Brady fan, and things have been happening there. So it wasn't that the world stopped moving, or I ran out of things to discuss. It is that I ran out of inspiration to discuss them. And I was struggling to understand why that was. And then it hit me like a ton of bricks yesterday. I was depressed. And I do suffer from depression. I haven't been diagnosed with it. But when you know, you know. And everyone that suffers from depression can attest to that, whether they've been diagnosed or not, whether they're being medically treated for it or not. When you know, you know. And there's different forms and different types of depression. You know, bipolar depression is a popular one. And I don't think I suffer from bipolar depression at all. I'm usually pretty even keeled. I don't get too high. I don't get too low. So I don't think that's my thing. I do believe that my depression, I don't know what the clinical term for it would be, but when it hits, it hits. And it's a fog that is difficult to try and work my way out of. So the second disclaimer is this. Now that you know what I am and what we're going to be discussing, please, please, please don't take anything I say and do it. Don't think that I am a doctor or a clinical psychiatrist and that I can help you live a better life. Don't do any of that. I am just only using this platform and this medium to share my own personal experiences and to hope that you could find some entertainment value in them and some information value in them as well. That is the sole purpose of this podcast. So please don't be going out there trying to live the life of me. and also, this isn't a cry for help. This isn't a pity party sort of thing. I don't want anyone pitying me or my situation or my circumstances. And I also don't want people to think that I am a weak individual, because that is a normal stereotype coupled with people that suffer from depression. It is said that those people are weak. Once I get done telling you this story or just the footnotes, you'll know that that isn't the case at all. I've lived through very, very hard times, and I wouldn't be here today talking to you in front of this camera, in front of this lovely little microphone here, if I was a weak individual. Tough things and tough upbringings, and on top of the obvious, being a black man in the United States of America, just knowing nothing about me and knowing that alone is reason enough to know that, you know, I'm not a fucking little snowflake. I'm not delicate. Okay. So now that that disclaimer is out the way, that is the primary reason that I have not been uploading videos. It is because that at first it was like a slow, numb, you know, it's like a slow numbing buildup. When you feel it coming on, just lose interest in things that you normally would have interest in, like me doing this podcast, or, you know, being lethargic and not really seizing the day. So that was the first sign that maybe my mental state wasn't right. And yesterday it just kind of boiled over, and I was like, yeah, I'm depressed, and I need to try and work my way through that. Not saying that I have at this current moment. I'm still working through some stuff, as we all are. The human experience is varied. So everyone is working through their own little things from time to time, and day to day, minute to minute, hour to hour. Everyone's working through something. So I'm not saying that I'm currently worked through that entire situation, but I'm getting there. I'm in front of the fucking camera right now. That's progress. Okay? It's minuscule, but gotta start somewhere. My lighting is fucking bad right now. What do you guys think of my lighting? Should I do something about that? Hold on, let me try and do something about that real quick. Get your bitch, get your... That a little better? That's a little better. So, I did actually create a list of things that I wanted to discuss, so I wouldn't get too far off topic. You know I'm a rambler. And I also poured myself a nice cold glass of Merlot. You guys know how I like my Merlot. There's metal blood taste and shit. It's not bad with ice in it though. You top a little ice in this fucking drink, and it kind of waters down all the blood taste. And it would be just my luck to spill some of this blood on my pristine white shirt. So I got the disclaimer out of the way. All right. So the first thing I really want to talk to you guys about, just to shed some light on how depression can manifest itself. And I'm not saying that this is the norm for everyone. I'm not saying that everyone's depression is the same. I'm just saying in my specific case, it was brought on at an early age, and it stayed until it grew into what it currently is. And my childhood had a lot to do with that. I was born into a very poor family on the west side of Chicago. I have 3 older brothers and 3 younger sisters. Now, right there, I'm already fucking dealing with the middle child syndrome off the bat. Like, I'm trying to figure out, do I go right? Do I go left? What's going on here? Where do I fit in? Especially with it being stacked the way it was. 3 boys, me, 3 girls. What the fuck? What do I do with that? Do I go with the boys? You know? Do I run around and play with the boys? Or do I go play dress up with the girls? What do I do? Which one of these groups of 3 will accept my presence? So I already got that going against me. already poor as fuck, living in the hood. And from the outstart, my upbringing was, I would say, different, unconventional, because I wasn't raised by my mother, who is a addict. I wasn't raised by my father, who died when I was 5. I was raised by my grandmother up until I was 9, and she died. And then things were taken over by my aunt, who, I said that weird, by my aunt. She was my father's sister, okay? My father's sister took over, and it was more of an obligation than a passion for her. She just felt like she had to do it. So my upbringing was very strange. And, you know, living in a poverty-stricken area, that created its own set of issues. And me being a middle child, it's like a fucking shit soup. It's like a very, very disgusting, shitty chili, and just throwing all sorts of bullshit ingredients in that motherfucker just to make on paper, I was supposed to be like Jack the Ripper. Like, I was supposed to be Hannibal Lecter on paper. If you just fucking mix that chili together, and what do you get? Boom, murderer. But I ended up not being a murderer, which is, you know, a testament to strong will and, you know, God. I'm going to say God. But the seeds of what would later be my depression were planted here. Primarily because I wasn't neglected, but I wasn't really loved. You know what I mean? Like, I was always looking for acceptance from someone somewhere, and I wasn't getting it. The only acknowledgement that I would get of my presence is when I would do something wrong and be punished for it. Other than that, I was virtually invisible. Of course, there's a sprinkle of times where birthdays were celebrated and, you know, things of that nature. But for the most part, I'd say 350 days a year, I was a ghost. And no one wants to be a ghost. I mean, people want to be seen. That's a part of the human experience. You want to bond. You want to build bonds. You want to grow. You want people to see you and appreciate you. And you want to see others and appreciate the things in them. So at a very early age, it was instilled into me that being invisible and not being accepted and being punished as acknowledgement of your existence, all of that was normal to me growing up. I don't remember many things happening that was happy. I remember a lot of things that were either weird or just punishments. There was a lot of physical abuse, a lot of verbal abuse, a lot of emotional abuse and neglect. So, and that's to be expected when you're living poor. You know, people have other things to worry about. They're trying to worry about you and keeping a roof above your head, but they're also trying to worry about themselves and keep themselves fed. And sometimes when you're in those areas and in those situations in the hood, you can't really prioritize like that. You're too fucking stressed out. You know, by the end of the day, you don't want to fucking be bothered with no kid, you know, especially some fucking weirdo kid that never says much, you know. You don't want that problem. You don't want that extra trouble. So you just go about your life. And especially with, you know, I don't have a normal, natural family setting, hopping from, you know, my grandmother to my aunt after my father passed. That's super abnormal. And that is precisely where the seed was planted. Let's see. I don't want to get off track here. So growing up, after, I don't know, about the age of 9 or 10, I began to accept my role in the world as kind of this ghost, not knowing that that was an unnatural thing to attach myself to, not knowing that as a human being, I shouldn't try to exist as an invisible person, although that's what I was taught to be, or, grown up to be. Like it was in my DNA at that point. But that did lead me to acquire skills and trades that helped me develop as a person. Always wanting to be seen, always wanting to be wanted, and always wanting to be accepted led me to try and be exceptional at everything that I did, whether it was athletics, whether it was academics, whether it was, drawing or writing. Everything that I did, I wanted to be the best at doing it. So someone would see it, someone would watch it, someone would pay attention and be like, that is good. A lot of when I began to understand these feelings growing up, and knowing that they weren't normal, and knowing that being sad and feeling adrift all the time wasn't normal, that's when I got really good at being creative. You could speak through music a lot, and I made a lot of music, a lot of good music, being in that headspace. And I made some of my best artwork in that headspace. So it's a good outlet, general advice, I would guess. General advice, if you're feeling that way and you are a creative person, those are two great outlets. Writing something, drawing something, recording some music, writing some poetry. You can get out of here and put it somewhere. You can actually place it somewhere. And not saying that that's going to fix whatever the root cause of your depression is, whatever the external problem is. If there is an external problem, whatever the internal problem is, at least it gets thoughts out of your head and onto something else that maybe other people will appreciate. If you have the same issues that I do with wanting to be accepted and wanting to be seen but not. So I guess that's a little piece of general advice there. What else do we have here on this fucking on this dumb topic? I did 2 topics in a row that were heavy, and I'm supposed to be the lighthearted podcast here, and it's two topics in a row where I'm just shitting the bed. I'm sorry about that, but I do think this is important to be said, because people talk about depression, but it's kind of watered down, and I don't think it's explored enough. You got pro athletes that say that they're depressed, and comedians that will say that they're depressed, and it's one of those things that's explored for about a second, and then it's swept under the rug, like it just went away, when there's millions of people across the world that deal with depression every fucking day, and they don't have a voice. No one is voicing what depression really looks like. Like Robin Williams, a professional comedian, no one knew that he was depressed, like deathly depressed. That's what it looks like. He was battling with something inside himself, and it led him to perish. So I'm not saying that I'm going to make a difference in the statistics of whether this topic is discussed or not. I'm just saying that I do want to do my part, at least, whatever my little grain of rice part is in this much wider, much broader topic and discussion. And I really wish like other people would discuss this as well. Maybe in the comments, maybe, just discuss this amongst yourselves. Maybe reach out to other people that you don't feel are well. It's more common than people would like to think. People take their own lives every day because they're just not feeling well. Their mental health, and they're not feeling like they belong on this planet. And I don't think anyone ever deserves to feel that way. Okay, sorry about that. Now, I will also say that, adding on to my disclaimer at the beginning of this video, I am not going any direction with this topic. There is not going to be a lovely little rainbow at the end of this journey. There's not going to be a fucking gold pot of treasure. It's nothing. It's just me speaking towards something that I think needs to be broadcast. That's it. That's it. And a wider discussion definitely needs to happen. This is one of those uniquely human problems where one or two tweaks isn't going to fucking change the whole world and no one will suffer from depression. It's a very, very complicated, convoluted human issue where a lot of things need to happen on a person-to-person basis. And drugs won't fix it. And, a lot of things won't fix it because as individuals, everyone differs. So there is no moral to this story is what I'm saying. There's no fucking moral. There's none. So if you're looking for that, I'll see you. Maybe watch my next video. It's going to be more funny. Anyway, so needless to say, going through all of what my unique form of depression is led me to have some confidence issues where I don't feel like I am handsome. I don't feel like I am in shape. I don't feel like I am funny. I don't feel like anyone wants me the way that I want to be wanted. I still feel like a ghost from time to time. And that's very unhealthy. I know that that's unhealthy. And I will admit that that is unhealthy. And I'm not sure if anyone else feels that same specific form of depression. But I believe the key to trying to get out of it is doing something that you love to do and focusing on that, trying to be productive, trying to build yourself up. And sometimes you gotta, if you are feeling invisible, sometimes maybe it is best to be invisible. Sometimes just block off the world, focus on yourself and trying to be the best you that you can be. And if the world is kind to you, you will attract that same energy that you are projecting because you're focused on all the right things for your specific case. And that's what I am currently doing. I love to do shit like this. I like to entertain people and I like to inform the masses. So wallowing in self-pity, although I still may feel like I am not aesthetically fit to be in front of a camera, although I still may feel I am not funny enough to claim that I have a comedy podcast, I'm still gonna fucking do it. Okay? Wallowing and thinking about it in the dark room, listening to sad Coldplay songs isn't gonna fix anything. Okay? Go do some shit. Go do it. And if you're feeling sad and you're feeling like you're in that numb place where you know it's only going to lead to bad thoughts and you not wanting to be here, please, please, please Reach out to someone. If you have someone, friends, family, talk to them about it. Be honest about it. Be open about it. Tell them what you're feeling and tell them why you're feeling that way. If you don't have any of those avenues, reach out to a professional. There's plenty of free care professionals that will help and that will listen. And they aren't, although they're being paid a wage, they genuinely do care, or else they wouldn't be in that field. Reach out to someone, reach out for help, and try to get out of here. You know, put it out somewhere and put yourself to work on doing the things that make you happy. Because at the end of the day, happiness is the goal for most people. Unless you're a fucking lunatic and you want to see everyone miserable, including yourself. But those people are very few and far between. Okay? The vast majority of us, we just want to be happy. And we want to be accepted. And we want to be wanted. And the key to that, I believe, and the first step to that is doing what makes you happy. And hopefully that energy will attract other happy people. Are you happy people? I would hope so. Next time I'm going to be a lot more nonsensical the way I used to be. So you guys can laugh or laugh at my expense. Whatever. I'll take both. Maybe I'll talk about some football. Maybe I'll talk about some MMA. There's definitely a bunch of shit to talk about because I've been gone for a while. Maybe you didn't even miss my face at all. You know, you're gonna make me sad again. All right. I'll talk to you motherfuckers later. Bye.